I'm writing this to try and hopefully reach the parents of these little bastards that keep coming to my door, or to get anyone's advice. The police were not exactly helpful to me. These kids won't leave me alone. It's not even Halloween yet, and these little kids keep ringing my doorbell and just standing there menacingly. It started earlier this morning. I was sitting there having my coffee when I heard a knock on the door. I get up and go to see who it is when I see 4 little kids in costumes standing on my porch. Obviously, I found this pretty weird. It's too early for this stuff, and it was too early for them to come to my door all dressed up. It wasn't Halloween. I guess in some parts of the country would be Devil's Night, the night before Halloween. But we don't live in those parts of the country, and besides, it's called Devil's Night, not Devil's 5 in the morning. One of the kids is in a Grim Reaper costume. The second was dressed up as a cat with a mask on. The third was dressed up like a zombie or a rotting corpse. Pretty convincing too. Little guy smelled like death. The last kid was all white and had no eyes. Pretty convincing makeup. Just black holes where his eyes should be. I stood there for a minute before asking them what they were doing there. You know, Halloween isn't until tomorrow, you guys. Plus it's super early. I have work in an hour. I have candy. If I give you some, will you leave me alone? They just stood there. They didn't speak or even move. I noticed suddenly that they didn't have any bags or pillowcases or anything to take the candy from me. I sighed and then closed the door to go get them some candy. I fished in my cupboards for the Snickers I keep and then got out a Walmart bag. I filled it up with a few candies and walked back to the door. I opened it up and handed the bag to the zombie kid. He didn't take it, didn't even reach out to grab it. Don't you want some candy? I said, look, I even put it in a bag for you guys. Can you guys just take it and get going now? They still didn't respond. I sighed and told them to go away and shut the door in their faces. I went about my business when I heard a knock at the door just as I was about to leave for work. I went up to the door and the 4 kids were just standing there, just like before. I asked them what they were still doing there before shooing them away again. They still just stood there. I sighed. I didn't have time for this. I pushed the white kid aside and walked to my car and got in. I backed up and watched as the kids followed my gaze behind their masks. I had a pretty normal day at work. Same old stuff. Boss is an ass, but I got through it okay. I came back to my house today around 6 p.m. and guess who was there to greet me? Take a wild guess. The little bastards were still there. I went up to once I parked and asked them why they were still there. They just looked at me. What is this? Some kind of prank? Some lame-ass TikTok challenge? I asked them. They didn't respond. I told them sternly to leave my porch. Damn kids must have been there all day. Shouldn't they be in school? Today is a Monday after all. I get into my house and I forget all about the little demons. When I hear a knock at my door, I decide, you know what? I'm gonna ignore it. Little kids don't want full-sized Snickers, and clearly they're here for the tricks and not the treats, so they aren't gonna get any more time from me. I ignored them pretty well at first, but they kept knocking. I shouted at them to leave me alone. I was able to get into a show on Netflix, but then they started knocking on my windows. I put my hands to my ears and said, LA, I can't hear you. But boy, they were persistent. They knocked on the side of my house. They even phased through my walls somehow and knocked on my bathroom door while I was taking a shit. They have been at this for several hours, and around 9:30 p.m., I finally gave in and went to the porch. I saw them, those 4 little costumed freaks just standing there like before. I screamed at them to get off my porch, where I was calling the cops. They just stood there looking at me. I turned one kid around and kicked him straight in his butt. He flew into the street. I did the same to the other 3 kids, and then slammed the door. Hopefully these little irritating kids would leave me alone. But no, they knocked not 5 minutes later. I opened the door to see them, all lined up in a row. I roared in anger. That's it, I'm calling the cops. I called 911 and the dispatcher came on. This is 911, what is your emergency? Yes, hello, I have 4 children dressed up in costumes on my front porch who have been ringing my doorbell all day. They won't leave, no matter what I do or say to them. Can you make them go away? What? You heard me, there are 4 children at my front porch, and they keep knocking and won't leave. Well sir, it is Halloween season. Did you try giving them candy? Yes, but they won't take it. They just sit there looking at me, and every time I walk away they just knock again. Well sir, perhaps they want you to come with them. Have you thought about going out with them? Maybe they just need someone to go trick-or-treating with. The dispatcher suggested, "What? I'm not going out with these kids. They're creeping me out. They've been bothering me all day." I responded, "Well, I guess it's probably a good idea you stay home instead. After all, trick or treating is just for kids."